Hey everyone, welcome to episode 36 of Qore, presented by the PlayStation Network. I'm your host, Veronica Belmont. After more than a decade away, tell me you are not excited to get your hands back on Duke Nukem.
Did you think I was gone forever?
That's right, the long-awaited sequel, Duke Nukem Forever, is finally here. And we talked to the big dogs at Gearbox Software about, well, what took so long?
I never thought Forever was going to be this long, actually, but it turns out, we're almost there. It's kind of surreal.
It's been a long and bumpy road, but we confirmed the king of crude is back.
Hell, I'd still hit it.
If you can't get enough of me talking at you in Qore, then make sure you download the upcoming DLC for Fallout New Vegas Old World Blues. Not only do I voice a few very interesting characters,
I'm glad to see you've decided to visit again. Ooh, you're back. I missed you.
but we also learn about what new adventures a courier will be having in the Big Empty, a graveyard of old technology. Hey, is that my iPad? Red Faction Armageddon revisits Mars 50 years after the events of Red Faction Guerrilla. But this time you're fighting cultists and crazy Martian creatures while trying to defend the newly liberated colonists. Get your ass to Mars! And then Audrey packed up her parka and headed up to the Pacific Northwest.
Hey guys, Audrey here in Seattle. Think this Pacific Northwest gem is all coffee and flannel? Think again. This city by the sea is boasting some serious geek and tech savviness. We're getting a taste of the local brew and more in this edition of On the Road Seattle.
Then we show you our favorite movies out on Blu-ray that bring the bright lights of Vegas right into your living room. All this and more in episode 36 of Qore, presented by the PlayStation Network. I'll see you on the inside. Hail to the king, baby.
Dear PlayStation, got any tips for SOCOM 4?
One word: teamwork. It makes the dream work and saves your keister. Hello, gorgeous.
You're an elite squad of Navy SEALs using coordinated attacks, airstrikes, and stealth kills. That's what it takes to save a nation in the middle of a revolution.
Teamwork.
Affirmative. Remember, you're only as strong as your weakest link.
Butler!
3D compatible SOCOM 4. Rated M for mature.
It's been almost 14 years since we last saw him, and some things just don't change with time.
Did you think I was gone forever?
In 1996, Duke Nukem 3D gave PC gamers a juiced-up and raunchy revamp of a DOS platformer classic. The game's titular hero went on to become the most notorious action hero around. With a penchant for booze, babes, and general badassery, Duke was the antithesis to the serious, self-important shooters of the 90s.
Come get some.
Duke 3D's sequel, Duke Nukem Forever, was to be the title that transformed the landscape of FPSs to come. But that was back in 1997. Since then, the game's beleaguered release has become as legendary as the Duke himself. Developer wars erupted, lawsuits were filed, game engines changed, all the while Duke's fate hung in the balance. But just last year, the guys at Gearbox announced they were coming to Duke's rescue. To see if Duke's still got what it takes to nuke the FPS competition, we trekked to a Sin City strip joint, naturally, to meet the new men behind that famous flat top.
Hail to the king, baby.
How does it feel to finally have this game coming out? I mean, it's called Duke Nukem Forever, and it's taken pretty much that long to get it out
I
here.
never thought Forever was going to be this long, actually, but it turns out, we're almost there. It's kind of surreal.
Tell me the general story. I mean, there's aliens involved.
Duke is the hero of the world. He saved our planet.
We're 10 years later since he saved the world last, and he's kind of, basking in that now.
Our tanked crusader has built quite the empire in where else but fabulous Las Vegas, but leave it to those pesky aliens to rain on Duke's parade when they land their spaceship on the roof of his lady killer casino.
Looks like those alien bastards drank all my beer.
The plot is a very deep, rich, complicated, full, robust epic.
We're going to take our women, and we're going to breed an alien army, and Duke isn't going to stand for this.
No,
So.
a guy with a flat top like that, he's serious about
That's
his
right.
women.
He's not messing around.
In In true Nukem fashion, you start your adventure at a place where some of life's most meaningful quests begin, in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
After this private moment, the real fun starts.
The aliens are led by a cycloid emperor, and they actually can transform our people into their army. Men actually get the worst side of it because they get transformed into pigs. And so you have all these pigs running around, and I'll tell you, nothing feels better than picking out a pig.
Squeal, piggy, squeal.
You'll blast your way through Vegas, kicking extraterrestrial ass and tearing apart aliens limb by limb.
Rest in pieces.
Some old favorites, like Hollow Duke and pipe bombs, are on steroids in the new Duke. Get your hands on the shrink ray and keep that alien threat to a minimum.
Oops.
When the mission calls for it, shrink yourself down to play as Mini Duke. You'll even get your own miniature Duke buggy to wreak havoc on your surroundings. Whee! Instead of a health meter, Duke's ego meter lets you know when he's in need of a boost. Pump him up by downing booze and other various I'm awesome ego-boosting activities.
It's good.
In Duke Nukem Forever, the world is very usable. It's very alive.
No, what am I doing?
If something feels like it has interactivity to it, like you try it, see what happens. Sometimes it's exactly what you expect.
Gross out factors aside, when we got our hands on Duke, we found ourselves falling in love all over again. Classy one-liner after classy one-liner.
You want to touch it, don't you?
Has he become a more complex character
Not
like
at
the
all.
rest of? Okay.
Not at all. The reality is a lot of our heroes today, they're trying to become very complex, very deep, emo. Our heroes are emo now. They have problems.
Oh my God.
Duke doesn't have problems. Duke just, he's all about kicking ass and just owning the situation and having a good time while doing it.
Right in the jewels.
He's gloriously one-dimensional.
I'm from Las Vegas, and I say kill 'em all.
It's refreshing to have one action hero who has his priorities straight. Killing aliens, drinking beer, partying with hot chicks, and coming up with enough one-liners to make your own soundboard.
All right, time for my reward.
He's important to gamer culture, and it's not because of all the great games that have come out. He's almost like our Chuck Norris.
A decade plus in the oven, Forever is not an FPS groundbreaker, but it's not trying to be either.
Hell, I'd still hit it.
We're not shooting for, oh my gosh, is this worth 13 years? If you love it, if you're gratified and entertained, you don't think about how long it took anymore.
Duke Nukem Forever is just plain old fun with a capital F-U. We'll see you at the party. After all, you've waited long enough, haven't you?
Hail to the king, baby.
Fallout New Vegas was one of our favorite games from last year. After all, who can argue with an open world filled with mutants and all the excitement of the Vegas Strip? And the downloadable content, including Dead Money and Honest Hearts, has kept the action in the Mojave Desert going strong ever since. The latest release, Old World Blues, takes the courier to an all-new location in the Mojave called the Big Empty, and reintroduces us to some characters you may recognize from previous DLC. We went down to Burbank, California, where we chatted with our friends Jason Bergman of Bethesda and Chris Avalon of Obsidian about the new DLC. We even took part in a little voiceover recording action of our own.
Are we being watched?
For those of you that haven't played Fallout New Vegas, you're the courier, tasked with delivering a mysterious package. Long story short, you're left for dead in the desert after someone named Benny tries to kill you for it. The game centers around you trying to find out the why, the who, and what the heck this package is anyway. The first 2 expansion packs continue the courier's travels, though you don't have to play them, or Old World Blues, in any specific order. Give me the storyline of the new DLC.
Well, in DLC 3, Old World Blues, the player gets to go to a pre-war technological graveyard that's hidden in the Mojave Wasteland. And once they're there, they get to meet the caretakers of the facility that are running a great many experiments in the labs and on the player character.
You wake up in the Big Empty, this area where pre-war, all these scientists got together to explore the limits of technology and push science as far as they could. Ultimately, what they did is they took their brains and they became what's known as think tanks. So there are these floating brains with 3 monitors, one for each eye and one for a mouth. And so you wake up and the first thing you're told by one of them is that they've taken your brain. And the plot of Old World Blues is the player trying to do what the think tanks need them to do so that they can get their brain back.
Did you retrieve the technologies yet? We need them, as I have indicated.
When you're searching through the Big Empty, do you get to keep any of the cool swag that you find, like brand new weapons or outfits, anything like that?
You get to both build cool new weapons and anything that you actually find in the Big Empty you can take back to the Mojave. As an example, you're given this sonic emitter pistol very early on in the DLC, but you could upgrade it and fix it over the course of the game and use it to disrupt force fields in the Big Empty and gain access to new labs, new locations, and get even more powerful items, so it's pretty cool.
How would you describe the tone in this DLC?
Dead Money was very, very dark. Honest Hearts, we were going for much more of a religious feel in some of the environments and the portrayal of the character struggles in that. Old World Blues brings much more of the dark humor back to Fallout. And this DLC, we sort of capitalized on that. And you're placed in a very deadly situation. You're surrounded by a number of scientific terrors, but at the same time it's counterbalanced by some of the humor that you actually encounter in the DLC.
A toaster is just a death ray with a smaller power supply.
You'll be meeting lots of new human and non-human characters along the way.
There's voices in the Big Empty. I want to talk to them.
Lending his dulcet tones to the DLC is Roger Cross, an accomplished voice actor who has also had major screen time in TV shows like 24 and The L Word.
I'm portraying Ulysses, and he's been alluded to over the first few, and in 3 you'll get a taste of him. He's a fellow courier, but he's probably a little wiser and more experienced.
This character has been referenced repeatedly in both the original game and in Dead Money, but this is the first time we actually meet this other courier, whose life is so seemingly entrenched with our own. After all, he was supposed to deliver the package in the first place. For my voiceover debut, I played not 1, not 2, but 3 characters in Old World Blues. Listen for me warning you about health levels as a high-tech suit of armor.
Stimpack reserves adequate.
Charming the pants off you as a pair of sexy light switches.
Of course, Dr. Mobius's brain is so big already, we had a hard time measuring it.
And finally, as the newly found voice of Christine, a member of the Brotherhood of Steel. You may have met her before in your travels, but she couldn't talk. Until now.
Brotherhood are preservationists.
That's a keeper, I don't need another one.
How often does it happen that a part that's been recorded is never actually even heard in the game because a player doesn't take that specific path?
In the case of DLC, the light switches, for example, which you play.
Ooh, you're back. I missed you.
That's actually an optional character. One of the first quests the player gets is they have to go and find the various personalities for each of these appliances in the sink, which is this area the player has access to and can upgrade. And if the player never finds those personalities, they never get to hear your voice.
Come on, you know you want to turn on the light switch.
That was a nice little cat nap.
So whether you end up talking to fretful sinks, testy toasters, or sexy light switches, we hope you have as much fun playing the game as we did playing our own roles in Old World Blues.
Shall we?
Shooters can't go bang without great guns and targets, but most games tend to overlook the moment they actually collide. Like, why doesn't that massive rocket launcher blow a hole right through that building? It does! Unlike other shooters, Red Faction Armageddon is all about the guns greeting targets. Mix in a never-ending onslaught of enemy bugs, ripe for squashing, and Red Faction is blowing up. In Armageddon, the Red Planet's terraformer has been destroyed, forcing the human colonists underground. As Darius Mason, you unwittingly release a plague of hostile Martian beasts on the poor cave-dwelling citizens.
That damn swarm came out of Bradbury Canyon. Same place you were headed, Mason.
Hey, it's not what you think.
You're the one who unleashed hell on us all!
You'll have to battle through swarms of enemies, trying to rid the planet of the infestation and redeem the Mason family name. It's time to go Orkin Man on their asses. Being a freelance miner, you've got plenty of roof-raising gear, from the simple but trusty sledgehammer on up to the awesome Walker robot exoskeleton. Since they can tear through buildings, these tools and other weapons pack a force like no other shooter. It's hard to pick favorites from the dozen guns, but here are a few. The magnet gun launches 2 probes that rocket into each other. You can use it to fling an enemy away, implode structures, and more. The laser-like plasma beam disintegrates anything in its path. The singularity bomb sucks in nearby baddies with its 1-2 implosion-explosion punch. And the nano rifle sprays nanobots that devour your target. You'll need all these tools to keep up with the relentless enemy bugs. You only have so much ammo, so the game feels tense. You'll unlock dozens of character upgrades that work automatically, such as health and shield improvements to all new powers. For example, you can hit a button to generate a protective nanergy bubble and catch your breath for a moment. You can release Red Faction's take on the Force Push, and the nanobots can rebuild structures you just demolished for the first time in a Red Faction game. That way, you don't need to be careful near a critical bridge or stairway. Just blast everything and then rebuild when it's safe. Or use that power to generate new trash to toss at enemies.
I can feel them. They're out there.
Vehicles complete your kit, and they're equally futuristic. In addition to the trusty mining exoskeleton, you'll pilot insect-like walker robots, and even flying, hovering spaceships. The Vehicles pack cool guns, enemy-seeking vision modes, and the ability to charge through structures like the Kool-Aid Man leaping through a wall. Oh yeah! In addition to the nerve-fraying single-player campaign, Red Faction bundles some great bonus modes. Infestation mode lets up to 4 gamers team up to fight against a never-ending wave of enemies. Sometimes you'll just go for a high body count, while other times you'll have to protect a structure or meet a bigger goal. It's fun working together, reviving fallen friends to continue on. And our favorite, Ruin mode, gives you 1 minute to cause as much chaos as possible. Earn points for destroying structures, and get bonuses for chaining together multiple attacks. We're going to spend a lot of time online comparing our top scores to see who's really the best. The explosive Red Faction Armageddon blends massive demolition with the power to rebuild. It's unlike any other game. The strong weapons match our appetite for destruction. There's not a dud in the bunch. Pile in the bonus modes, and this game totally rocks.
Audrey here in Seattle. Think this Pacific Northwest gem is all coffee and flannel? Think again. This city by the sea is boasting some serious geek and tech savviness. We're getting a taste of the local brew and more in this edition of On the Road Seattle. Right next to Seattle's iconic Space Needle, you might find yourself at a rock show or in outer space and beyond at the Experience Music Project. So what's EMP all about?
EMP is all about tapping into your inner rock star, your inner creative self. And we really like to encourage people who come here to play music, to play instruments, to learn how to do it. But we also have various artifacts that show them the history behind the music as well.
Hit up the Jimi Hendrix exhibit for a peek at some of his famous guitars, or learn how to rock out at the Sound Lab. Here, interactive tutorials teach you how to play guitar, keyboard, drum, and bass, or mix like a producing pro.
And we hear there's been a Cylon invasion lately.
Yes. We have an exhibit. It's our featured exhibit right now, the Battlestar Galactica exhibit.
EMP shares real estate with its nerdy little brother, the Science Fiction Museum Hall of Fame. BSG freaks can peruse artifacts from the original 1978 series and the reimagined 2004 one. Just don't frackin' touch anything, okay? From strings and sci-fi to a spot inspired by real science.
I'm walking on what might be the nerdiest pedestrian walkway ever, the Amgen Helix Bridge.
Modeled after the structure of DNA, the Amgen Helix Bridge is a whopping 420 feet long. This award-winning piece of biotech architecture also spans 11 railroad tracks. Can your double helix do that?
If you're like me, you can't do anything without your mobile phone, but sometimes you get a little nostalgia for a simpler time. So here at the Museum of Communications, you can find the ancestors to email and mobile phones. Can you hear me now?
We started this in 1985, and a lot of the equipment was being replaced and was going to go to the garbage dump. So our company at that time, Pacific Northwest Bell, decided that they would be our co-partners in building a museum. We've tried to put together a collection of all of the communication equipment that leads us to where we are today.
That sounds better.
And you guys refurbish everything in-house?
We do it all right here in-house, yeah. We did send a couple items out for nickel plating and things like that, but nearly everything on display is operational to some extent.
I'm getting a workout out of this, seriously. Hello? Oh my god! Look how much people had to do just to get one phone call. One phone call.
I've collected antique telephones since 1978. They're getting harder to find too. This is a model of the device that Bell got the patent for. And basically the principle that they had back in that day is the same that we use today. I just enjoy the communications business. I love switching equipment, and I just love this old mechanical electronic stuff. As a matter of fact, if you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you're going either. So I dwell on the past, I guess.
Well, I think this is a really fun place to dwell on it then.
Yeah, it sure is.
Oh my god, Zach, I totally heard you went out with Kelly.
Gadget hounding works up an appetite, so cruise to the Roosevelt part of town and into a local watering hole.
I am here with Matt, general manager of Pies and Pints, and from the name of your restaurant, I have no idea what you guys sell.
Our claim to fame is our small Australian-style pot pies. We've been doing savory pot pies here in Seattle since 2004.
Enjoy a mac and cheese or pie of the day in the family-friendly dining area, or head to the back for ambiance, drinks, and pool. Started by a couple buddies from college, Pies and Pints puts a unique spin on pub-style favorites.
What makes you guys uniquely Seattle?
We're a local community place. We tend to kind of keep it simple and try to do what we do really well. Savory pies right now is kind of like the new cupcake in Seattle, so we like to think of us as one of the originals.
Oh my god, that was good. If you don't mind, I'll have a little alone time with this now.
Rain or shine, there's so much local flavor in Seattle, you might just need to load up on the caffeine and go sleepless to experience it all. In the meantime, we'll be on the road headed to another geek-tastic destination.
Hello from Sin City. Countless movies have taken place right here on the Strip in Vegas, which is why I'm taking a break from the slots to run down our most high-rolling Blu-ray titles. Cha-ching!
Terry Gilliam's psychedelic romp Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is based on Hunter S. Thompson's novel of the same name. The twisted fantasy drama stars Johnny Depp as a journalist simultaneously on assignment and on a drug binge.
75 pellets of mescaline, 5 sheets of high-powered blotter acid.
Benicio del Toro is his sidekick. The Blu-ray update is pretty basic. Check out the deleted scenes with Depp and del Toro. They might be grainy, but the performances are as entertaining as ever.
And I'm the district attorney from Inyo County.
Spotlight on Location is also a short bonus featuring behind-the-scene interviews with the director and the stars.
I said, what would you think about playing me in the film, version of Fear and Loathing? And I said, yeah, you know.
If one were to make a list of guilty pleasure Nick Cage movies, Con Air would be at the top.
The U.S. Marshal Service annually flies 155,000 prisoners around the country for transfers, legal hearings, and medical exams.
Cage stars as a recently paroled ex-Army Ranger en route to see his family in this 1998 action fest. When the plane is overtaken by the rest of the inmates on board, they end up crash landing on the strip. The special effects might seem dated now, but the feature entitled The Destruction of Las Vegas takes us back to a simpler time. You know, before green screens and motion capture and 3D and Avatar. Also, click on Movie Showcase for some cherry-picked scenes that really highlight the flick's updated visuals and audio. Hey, we say bring on the sweaty, slow-motion Nick Cage with a totally fake explosion in the background any day.
Now, Vegas wasn't always the family-friendly playground it is today.
As depicted in Casino, Sin City was a mobster haven. Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and Sharon Stone star as greedy gangsters running the fictional Tangiers Casino. When the Martin Scorsese-helmed flick first came out in '95, it was known for its brutal violence and for using the F word over 400 times.
Because of your
Those wise guys. Of all the Blu-ray updates on Casino, the picture quality stands out the most. Let's just say you won't be cheating at cards ever again once you see what could happen to you in high def. The extras are fairly sparse, but do catch the deleted scenes featuring some lighthearted moments with the actors.
We featured The Hangover in our spotlight before, but when it comes to quintessential Vegas comedies, we can't leave this one out.
Three buddies overdo it on their friend's bachelor bender and lose him in the process.
We lost Doug.
Problem is, the wedding is right around the corner. The extras are pretty fantastic. Take an interactive tour of the sites the guys hit up in Map of Destruction. Learn the words to the Three Best Friends song.
Three best friends that anybody could have. We're the three best friends that...
Dive into the madness of Ken Jeong.
Bad things to me. Bad things to me.
And scroll through more pictures from the infamous missing camera.
Just a warning, these pics are totally NSFW. But you're not watching this at work, are you? Are you?
Nothing does a broken heart good like a jaunt to Vegas with your bros. But if you're Jon Favreau in Swingers, it might actually cause more harm than good.
Did you see Boys in the Hood? Not one of us is gonna get shot.
A fresh-faced Vince Vaughn plays his best friend as they bar hop and attempt to bed hop their way through the 90s dating scene. The Blu-ray skimps on the extras, but not on the hilarity. This comedy drama is a one-liner generating machine.
What are you talking about? Look at all the beautiful babies here. The beautiful babies don't work midnights to 6 on a Wednesday. This is the skank shift.
Pick it up for that, as well as the awesomely updated picture quality.
When it comes to adding to your Blu-ray collection, don't take a gamble. Bring down your house with our picks for Sin City Cinema. I'm Audrey, and I'm headed to the buffet. What? Playing the slots burns a lot of calories.